Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The stage has been set for a cinematic Game 7 between the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Also, Caleb Williams tried to avoid playing for the Bears because, according to his family and also me, it's where quarterbacks go to die. And Bill Belichick has become a massive distraction for North Carolina.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
Fittingly, in a battle of MVPs, it was a Game 7 that the doctor ordered. The Nuggets get a 119-107 win in Game 6 in Denver from Ball Arena. Matt Moore joins me now. And Matt, in the first half, the Oklahoma City Thunder raced out to a lead of a dozen. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander goes to the bench with 4 fouls, and it felt like the game turned there. This was a game of runs for Denver. What keyed it for them?
You know, I think really it was Julian Strawther coming off the bench, giving them the lift that they needed in terms of the corner shooting. They needed somebody who could knock down threes, and he was able to get in there and get it done. Russell Westbrook, really bad stretch in that first half. But when Strawther came in, it really gave them a lift, and they were able to extend the lead in the non-Jokic minutes, and that was absolutely huge. This may have been the Nuggets' honestly most complete, best win of the season. They got a dominant MVP-type performance from Nikola Jokic across the board. Jamal Murray chipped in with 25 points. They were able to get a bench contributor in Julian Strawther. They got double-digit scoring from Christian Brown and from Michael Porter Jr., and they were able to contest the Oklahoma City Thunder at the rim and got lucky on a bunch of missed threes for OKC. But that's what you need if you're going to extend the series against the team with the best point differential in NBA history, and the Nuggets got it done.
Yeah, a 32-21 third quarter. It was the Nuggets defense in the second half, in addition to Julian Strawther, as you mentioned, who was a one-man run of his own in that third quarter and into the fourth. How much credit do you think we need to give coaching here? I was chatting with our colleague, Wes Goldberg. Coaches get a lot of credit for when guys play better, but it did seem like this, and you mentioned this on social media, may not have been how the rotations would have been managed had the old coach, Mike Malone, had that been who had been calling the shots here.
Maybe. I don't know. That's the thing, is like we'll never know because Malone didn't get an opportunity, right? I will say that the key with Malone with his young players was always that if you did the right things, you were rewarded with minutes, that you were given those opportunities. And Julian Strawther throughout the season has done those things. He was lauded by Malone for those type of things. So I wasn't surprised. Adelman's entire thing is, look, guys, we're up against it. We have no margin for error. Whoever's playing well is going to play. If Russ had knocked down shots tonight, he was going to close. If they had gotten contributions from Peyton Watson, he was going to close. I thought Peyton was very good in his minutes. But Julian was the guy tonight. And that's been kind of the lesson because they're forced up against it because of how this season has gone.
You mentioned the defense and getting a little bit, lucky with some misses there, 27.5% from 3, 11 of 40 for Oklahoma City in this game. But there was still plenty of Denver defense that contributed to that. As we look forward here, how much of what we saw in terms of the defensive intensity and some of the defensive work that they did is replicable again?
Well, I think some of it is. I think Peyton Watson gave them a big lift. I think Nikola Jokic was huge on the interior. A lot of this game, though, I think also was decided by some of the officiating in terms of they were, Jokic. One big stretch in this game was in the second quarter. Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson drew a lot of off-ball, non-shooting fouls on OKC. And that meant that Hartenstein was in foul trouble, so Jokic could attack more on the interior. If we're talking about defense, because they were giving a little bit of a looser whistle later in the game, that meant that Nikola Jokic was able to contest a little bit more on the interior. For the most part, I think that OKC generated a lot of good shots tonight. I think that, honestly, Denver benefited from the home environment and the way the role players shoot better at home and role players of the other team don't shoot as well on the road. We'll see if they can contest, but OKC, I think, got a lot of good shots tonight that if they have them in Game 7, they may not hit all of them, but they might hit enough.
From a opponent perspective, what is going on with Jalen Williams? 3 for 16 tonight and has not really had it going other than the one game in this series.
Well, look at his assist, though. That's the thing I'll kind of say here is Jada made a handful of absolutely ridiculous defensive plays tonight. Blocks, steals, huge defensive plays. Had, I think, 9 assists. He's been absolutely tremendous in terms of creating offense. He just can't hit anything right now. Can't hit floaters, can't hit leaners, can't miss a dunk. It seems like the wrist is bothering him. I don't know if that's true or not. Everybody's banged up right now. I think in large part, I think this is mostly a matter of Jada was expending so much energy on the defensive end and the offensive end as a primary initiator. I think it's really wearing him down, and that's been a struggle point for him.
All right, game 7 on Sunday. Give me one quick key as we look ahead here.
Turnovers. The Nuggets are winning about a 70% rate in the playoffs when they have fewer turnovers than their opponent. When they have more, it drops to about 50. They are just simply not as good when they turn the ball over. OKC created a lot tonight, but so did Denver. If OKC takes care of the ball and Denver gives the ball up a lot like they have in this series, OKC is going to have a chance. And from there, game 7s are always tight, and it's always about which role players are going to knock down shots. Should be a great one on Sunday in OKC.
You can stay up to date all year on the Denver Nuggets by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Nuggets on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Your Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, Caleb Williams almost bowed out of the NFL draft to avoid playing for the Bears. Before we get to that, hardly anyone saw the best round of golf played at the PGA Championship yesterday. The NBA playoffs roll on, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes it easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. There's so many ways to bet your favorite props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. While the golf world had its eyes on the big names, it was Jonathan Vegas who delivered the round of the day, and maybe the round of his life. With the crowds thinning and the spotlight elsewhere, Vegas quietly carved out a 7-under 64 at Quail Hollow, giving the 40-year-old Venezuelan his first ever lead at a major championship. On a leaderboard full of unfamiliar names and surprising stumbles from the sport's elite, Vegas reminded everyone that sometimes the best stories at majors unfold when no one is watching. Over in baseball, the Astros kicked off a week-long road stand against the Rangers.
We all thought that this was going to be a pitcher's duel. And sometimes when you have ace versus ace, it doesn't really live up to the bill. You pay for this certain matchup, and one of the pitchers gives up 5 runs, and you're like, well, maybe this wasn't what we thought it was. But this was what you thought it was. It was you had Hunter Brown with the perfect game until the 5th inning, until I believe it was Dolis Garcia got a double to lead off the inning. Yeah. And then you had DeGrom just like cruising through the Astros lineup. He gave up a hit earlier in the game, but for the most part, he had total control. Both pitchers limited their pitch count. They both went into the 8th inning. And unfortunately, like you said in the intro, it was a solo home run that Hunter Brown gave up that kind of was the difference in this game. And sometimes, I know we've been criticizing the offense a lot, but this was a matchup of 2 great pitchers. And yes, we want to say, well, we wish the offense would do better. But in this case, Brett, let's take a break from the offense, the bashing and everything. Let's appreciate how good Hunter Brown was.
And a late goal helped the Hurricanes put the number 1 seed Capitals on ice.
All good things must come to an end as the Capitals fall to the Hurricanes in Game 5 by a score of 3-1. Hi, this is Dan Homey of Locked On Capitals. Well, we saw a bit of a better performance by the Capitals in this final game of the season for them. And started off slow. The first and second period, it was not the Capitals' game, but they poured it on heavy in the third period. You saw a goal by Anthony Beauvillier. You saw a goal that was offsides by Matt Roy. Connor McMichael was offsides. And your head kind of starts to go into places like, what would it have been? What would this game have been like had that goal stuck? But in any event, the Capitals did lose this game and at the end of their season. And you take a look at it. I'm proud of this team for what they've accomplished, winning the Metro, winning the Eastern Conference, when a lot of different people doubted this team to start the season. A lot of people looked at the Capitals and the moves that they made and didn't think that they would be a competitor, but they did just that. Hat goes off to the Carolina Hurricanes, as they were the better team, as apparent by the end result there. But the Capitals fought hard, at least in game number 5 here. I wish that maybe Spencer Carberry would have tried to tweak the lineup. He wouldn't have waited till game 5, where you saw Connor McMichael in at that third-line center position. But all things considered, I'm proud of this Capitals team, and I'm already looking forward to next season.
According to a bombshell report and new book, Caleb Williams explored every option before accepting his fate with the Chicago Bears, including potentially playing in the UFL. Locked On Bears host Lauren Cox explained why both Williams and his father were right to want to stay away from the organization.
Caleb Williams was right about this. And as much as you might not want that to be true, it is true. Like, yes, he and his dad thought the Bears were not a good place for a quarterback to go. That has been correct, at least in my entire lifetime and for some time before that. This has not been an organization with the kind of infrastructure to develop a quarterback. Caleb Williams and his dad were not confident in the Bears coaching staff, and particularly unhappy with offensive coordinator Shane Waldron being the hire there. And lo and behold, they were correct. And Caleb Williams and his dad were upset about, the rookie wage scale and thought his son deserves to be paid more money. Like, I think that's also true, even though maybe, you want him to just suck it up and play by the rules. I don't think they were unjust in wanting so many of the things that they wanted. Like, yes, a quarterback should have preferred Kevin O'Connell as an offensive coach to Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. So it just feels to me like there's a certain level of like, they were right, and I can't be mad about it. And so if I can't be mad about them being right about all of these things, what I can do is look and see what Caleb Williams and to some extent his dad did in spite of all of their feelings about the Bears, and what everyone involved in this process did to get us to where we are today. And that's kind of what I leave as a takeaway here is like, some of this stuff maybe we wondered about. Some of this stuff maybe we had heard rumors or speculation or theories as to what the pre-draft process was like and what Caleb Williams did and didn't want. But from the moment Caleb Williams was drafted number 1 overall by the Chicago Bears, there was no semblance of a doubt that he was embracing this opportunity and was all in on making this work. Like, once he got to the point where he said, well, there's nothing else I can do. I'm going to be drafted number 1 of the Bears. This is the team I'm going to have to play for my rookie season. He leaned into that fully. He said, all right, this is my team. This is my offensive coordinator. This is my head coach. And despite my long list of reservations about those things ahead of time, there's now nothing I can do about it. So what can I do? Well, I can just try and make the most out of whatever this situation is going to be and have as much success as I possibly can squeeze out of it. And obviously, as a team, the Bears did not have that kind of success, and it led to the firing of Shane Waldron and then Matt Eberflus. But all along the way, Caleb Williams never caused a public problem. We don't know what was said behind the scenes, in the locker room, in meetings with coaches or with Ryan Poles or whatever, but we never heard about Caleb Williams being truly disgruntled. I think there were players that were upset about the offense, and like that was all like reasonable stuff, but there was never a whisper of Caleb doesn't want to be here. There was never a whisper of, is Caleb going to want to be traded, right? Like, none of this stuff was a part of the controversy around Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. It was just universally agreed that, like, hey, these were bad coaches that did poorly, but it could have been Caleb making it so much more messy. There could have been more leaks. And we'll talk about how, especially in the draft process, that this could have gone worse. But Caleb sat there and took his medicine. He put up with it and kind of shut up about it. For whatever he and his dad were worried about and complaining about in the pre-draft process, Caleb Williams ate it, swallowed his pride, and said, let's get to work. Let's make this happen. And you can only imagine then that as Caleb says, all right, I got to make the best out of this worst situation, this less than ideal spot, less than ideal team, even worse than that coaches, how I'll try and make this worse the best I can, all while watching Jaden Daniels go one pick later to a Washington Commanders team that also didn't deserve any benefit of the doubt as far as organizational stability goes. I don't think Jaden Daniels was drafted to Washington and everyone said, wow, this is clearly going to be this home run fit right out of the draft. But as it turns out, Caleb Williams' quarterback coach as Jaden Daniels' offensive coordinator leads them to a super successful rookie season. And can you imagine how much that had to hurt for Caleb Williams? Not only in general, it hurts when you see a direct competitor, your rival in some ways, going and being more successful than you. That's always going to hurt. But especially when you know deep down inside that you were put in a position that you didn't want to be put at and that you knew would hold you back from being able to be as successful as that other person, right? It's not like Caleb Williams could come to Chicago, give it his best shot, and you know what? Jaden Daniels was still just better. And sometimes you have to chalk it up and say, you know what? You got the best of me. You were better than I was. I can be honorable in defeat there. But if you're Caleb Williams, aren't you looking around going, gosh, darn it, I knew this would happen. I knew this team wasn't going to put me in a position to succeed. I knew this offensive coordinator was going to screw me. And all of it happened the way Caleb thought it would. And he still just had to watch it happen and had to watch Jaden Daniels succeed with his college coach. And for Caleb Williams to experience all of that and not make it more of a public stink says a lot about Caleb Williams' character and a lot about his commitment to the Bears and his willingness to see this out.
I would just like to say for the record, Lauren said it, not me. Stay up to date all year on the Chicago Bears by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Bears on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, Bill Belichick's personal life has been an ugly distraction for Carolina football. Bill Belichick's relationship with Jordan Hudson has become a huge distraction for North Carolina football. Locked On Tar Heels host Isaac Shade sat down with former UNC safety Denoris Searcy to discuss how the team should be handling the issue in the locker room.
Unfortunately, there's been just all this drama with Coach Belichick and his girlfriend. I hate that, and it's frustrating, but that's what the national media is doing. But my question for you, I want to look at it from the player's angle. So as a player, how on earth do you go about keeping that noise out of the locker room and focusing on football?
Well, me, I just you gotta know it related. It's not related to you as a player. For one, like that's something personal that coach is dealing with. And then you gotta understand. You gotta understand the reason why you're here. I mean, like I know it sucks. I'll be sitting there like, Dad, coach, like I hate this happening to you, but at the end of the day, I'm here to make my opportunity better. I'm here to take advantage of every chance I get. So that would be my main focus. They're focusing on my why and why I chose to come to UNC. So I came here to play football. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play ball and go to class. That's the whole thing gonna be on my mind. And I think the guys need to understand that as well. Like let Belichick deal with his own personal things off the field, and we control what we control on the field.
Is that something that ever gets addressed, like in the locker room? Like, hey guys, I know this thing's going on, but like, as you said, I'm gonna handle that. I'm gonna take care of that. We're just gonna focus on what we're doing. Or do you just ignore it? But how do you ignore it? Because it's the pink elephant in the corner of the room.
The older guys on the team has to come together with the rest of the team and just say, hey, no matter what coach is dealing with, that's non-football related. So we have nothing to do with that. What we can control is when we come in this building, when we study film and we go to practice, we can control that aspect of it, and we can go out there and still perform and do great things. Because, like I said, that's a distraction. That distraction doesn't particularly pertains to the team. Now it's going to get brought up around the team because it involves your head coach,
right?
But all players, honestly, all they got to do is ask. Like that's Coach Belichick's personal issues or personal things that he has to get under control. So that's something that we can't control. So we just got to focus on football.
It does strike me as particularly amusing that after years of Tom Brady being in the tabloids, very public relationships with celebrities, that it is now Bill Belichick whose relationship is the one splattered across tabloids, being talked about on social media. And finally, it may not have ended with a championship parade, but the Warriors' late season surge has Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green believing the next one might. After all, Golden State went from barely 500 to one of the league's better teams overnight once Butler suited up, a move that gave Curry his sidekick, Butler his joy, and the Warriors a 2-year window to chase more rings. With health on their side and a full season to gel, the Bay may not be done booming just yet. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, are the Knicks able to shut the door on the Celtics, or does Boston sneak back in and force Game 7? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.